Okay, so welcome to this WIT session. So we're going to take a look back over the last 3 years and all the fantastic work that we've done as a group over that time, and reflect on, what we've learned over that period and what some of our highlights have been. And we're going to hear from you guys around the table today. And for anybody who doesn't know you already, I'm going to introduce you now as my wonderful WIT steering group. So first of all, I've got Lynn here. Say hello, Lynn.
Hello.
Sarah.
Hi.
And Amanda.
Hi, everyone.
And we also have Nicola Brummel, who is on our WIT steering group, but unfortunately Nicola couldn't join us for the session today, but super thanks to Nicola as well. So we've done a lot over the last 3 years. We've made a lot of progress, a lot of fantastic work, and speaking personally, I've learned a lot through that. So what I'd like to do now is open it up to the floor for you all to share your experiences in terms of what you've learned and also some of the highlights that you've had over the last 3 years. So Amanda, could you start us off, please?
I can indeed. So it's been quite a journey, I guess, over the past 3 years. Gosh, that's flown, hasn't it, really? We've been together for 3 years. But I think my takeaway has been that everyone's experience is different. Mm-hmm. So not everyone's journey or stories are the same. And I think from being in the attract pillar, what's really interesting is that we get to champion people's experiences, stories, share them. And I think through sharing these stories, it helps. For me in particular, I struggle with imposter syndrome. So sharing and talking about that absolutely helps, hearing other people's view of how they manage it.
Yeah.
So those shared experiences, just so that we can, we put it out on social media, on the website, etc. So, hopefully it helps other females in the sector wanting to come into tech as well. So that's certainly what I've learned.
Yeah. And what about, I guess, your biggest sort of highlights over the last 3 years in terms of what that group has done?
Yeah, so we've done a range of activities, I guess. We've done quite a few media days. So that's where we bring individuals from across the business together, where we'll film them, sharing their stories, their journeys, lots of different themes. So what it's like to be a member of the WIT network, what it's like to be a female in business, and then hopefully those stories help individuals on their career journeys as well. Whilst we do the video recordings and bios, we also do photography. So we want to make sure that across our websites and social media channels, we're representing our diverse workforce in the right way. So again, we pull together, and that's the wider network, not just WIT as well. Yeah. So it's great to represent the true workforce here at Zen and in the sector. So that's particular highlights. We look after all the different channels as well. So how do we actually promote everything that everybody's doing, which is really great, especially across all the groups. So we've got social media, which is a big focus for this year, but we've been working on that over the past 3 years. The website, internal comms, newsletters. So again, raising the profile of all the wonderful work that all the teams are doing. But then it kind of extends through to documentation, presentations, tender documents, making sure that we represent the diverse colleagues that we have here at Zen and in tech, because actually our enterprise customers are really interested in understanding, the work that we're doing in that space as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I imagine obviously the Attract team will work very closely with HR.
Absolutely.
And because this is about how we recruit people, how we bring them to the business. Yep. So I imagine there's been a lot of great collaboration work in terms of the recruitment piece.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a moment because absolutely, Amanda and I meet and we talk about it, our teams, both the Attract team and the HR team, our recruitment team. Yeah. We work together, changing job adverts. I don't know whether you want me to talk about that now or perhaps...
Can do, Sarah. It's absolutely fine.
And so we've done things like changing the language to make it more appealing to women as well as men. So we decode we run all our job specs now through a decoder, which at first was met with a bit of a raised eyebrow, like feminine language, is that going to make a difference? Is it going to put the men off? But actually not at all.
Can you just explain for anybody who doesn't know, what is a decoder? 'Cause it sounds a bit techie to me.
Good. But absolutely, it simply means when we write a job spec, lots of research has found, I won't quote it all now, but we've taken it as a fact, we know it to be true, that some job specs can use masculine orientated language.
Okay.
So powerful, dynamic terms that researchers found can actually put women off applying. But when you use the more feminine versions and you talk about teamwork and collaboration, so you're not changing anything about the job, not changing anything material about it, but you're just describing it in different terms. It makes it more appealing to a broader range of people, so women as well as men, doesn't put them off. So the decoder just allows you to put it, you feed it in, physically feed it in, not shred it. But it will analyse your language and suggest alternatives. And now our hiring managers at Zen are so open to that. There's no reticence about doing it. And we've seen an increase in female candidates as a
result of that.
Certainly over the years, we've seen a shift. Applying for the technical roles too, which is, So, but that's come from initiatives within the WIT team in collaboration with the wider people and culture team, if I'm honest.
Yeah. That's great. Thanks, Amanda. Lynn?
Yeah, so in terms of what I've definitely learned, I've learned a lot along the way, to be fair, and there's probably still tons more to learn. But one of the key things is that we have amazing women at Zen. Our community, our WIT community in Zen are just so committed to the women in tech movement, uplifting each other, supporting each other. And I've personally felt, the benefits of that, with us in here today, and Nicola, of course, supporting each other, absolutely. And we really have a real passion and desire to really see this through, haven't we? As a vision piece, to really make that marked difference, no matter how small or how big. That's really what we're here to do. And I love that I'm part of this community.
Yeah, definitely. And just building on that point, actually, because you mentioned all of the fantastic women, I'll have to say there are some fantastic men as well. And we've got some great male allies on our WIT group who are really helping us move the needle. So just calling that out as well.
Of course, yeah.
So,
I've got two men on my group, and they are 2-3 actually, and they're amazing. The inputs and the passion, the allyship from them, couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah, it's great. So what about your highlights then? What can you look back at and think, wow, that was great?
Oh, I feel like we've done quite a lot. And again, it's a collaborative piece, it isn't singular. It's the whole of Zen as well as the different teams that we're working with here. But I've got to call out the Step Into Tech program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
I have to.
Yeah.
For those that aren't aware of it, it's a free women-focused pre-employment program, technical program. And the key aim is really to increase representation of females within technical support at Zen. And when we delivered this, we were really trying to challenge those limiting assumptions, that women can go for those technical roles and fight through the fact that they can have that first job as a technical role as well. And since we delivered the first one, we were quite surprised and taken back by the results of it. So I think at the time, and Sarah helped out massively on this, we're looking at the numbers within technical support, and it was like 7% gender split, and that went up to 16% after the first program.
Yeah, brilliant.
So we were taken back by that, and it's been absolutely amazing to see that some of those women are at Zen and progressed into more technical roles like software development. They've moved into hosting. One of them has just recently been seconded as a technical team leader.
Oh, great.
As well, which is amazing. And we also got recognised as, for the WIT Awards as well for a finalist in there. So we're extremely proud. And the other thing, which is really great, is that we don't necessarily have to run those programs today. Tech support have increased their focus on driving more, recruiting
they really
more women.
want to do it, don't they?
They really do.
About it.
Yeah, and we've seen it as part of standard practice now. So regardless of what recruitment route, and your team works extremely closely with them, we've got a lot more women now within tech support.
Yeah.
Proud of that.
Yeah, it's a great one, that one, Lynn.
Yeah, and it's a collective piece as well, from your team as well.
Well, and no credit should go to the tech support team leaders and the managers, shouldn't it?
Yeah, they totally embraced it.
Absolutely do. Yeah, and And I'd like to add as well that our women who are joining us, because it was a step into tech, they absolutely deserve to be there. You know, they'd done that initial piece of training and they'd run with it, they'd seized it, and absolutely just to see the progression really proves that was a good move for them, I think.
Yeah,
And what's amazing as well is that one of the women who is now in software development, she's now part of my team within the develop team.
Oh, that's
Great.
And she's so keen on helping young women come through Zen and move from technical sport to a more technical role within Zen as well. So really proud of that one, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
full circle
I totally
there.
understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. Another highlight I wouldn't mind calling out as well is the launch of the female mentoring.
Yeah, another great one.
We were a little bold and brave at the time. 3 years ago, we decided to just launch a female mentoring program, predating a company-wide one. And the idea of that was to try and promote some equity within Zen. And today, you know, we've got 34 mentoring relationships, female ones. I think it's about 60% of the overall mentoring scheme is women, you know, on the back of that. We've seen some great results as well, and we continue to see great results. You know, we've seen like career development, people who've learned more technical skills, having technical mentors, career development. I think 44% of those relationships have been promoted from a senior or technical
That's a
position.
great start.
So, and that, of course, doesn't require, I mean, it's a lot of work to set up the foundations of it, but it pretty much runs itself through the commitment of the mentors, men and women, as well as the mentees as well, which is fantastic to see.
It's brilliant. And I'm a massive supporter of mentorships and mentoring schemes as well, because I mean, the stats all say that it's so important in people's development. Everybody, you know, not just women, but women in particular, who struggle with that imposter syndrome, like you said earlier, Amanda. It really helps break down those barriers, especially if you've got a female mentor who is in a role that you're trying to achieve, then it helps you to understand that it's possible. So yeah, another great one, Lynn.
Yeah.
Can I also at this point mention reverse mentoring as well, which but I've personally benefited from having a female reverse mentor and learnt so much from them, you know, from a different generation, different perspective. It's really helped me just have a different lens, and the more in my role particularly as well, the more you know about somebody's true challenges and experiences in every role, at every level, if you will, of the organisation, the better. Yeah, and so it's just brilliant, and hopefully she's got something from that too, because it cuts both ways. You know, I want to support them. Yeah, they've supported me. It's been I know that's something that we're going to hopefully do more of, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the future plans.
Not too excited.
No, that's brilliant. But I think just to really build on that, which is my final highlight, is spending more time with young women and girls in schools and colleges. I must admit, spending time with them and listening to them in terms of the aspirations and the plans and what they want to do. I definitely feel like a generation away, maybe or two, on that basis, and I'm learning a lot from them. But what I love about working with schools and colleges is that we're all involved in this bit, aren't we? You know, we're working extremely closely with your team, Amanda, to attract the talent within Zen as well. But one of the things that we have done is we've launched that female mentoring scheme within Hotwood Hall College. Yeah, and that's been a learning curve, I would definitely say, in the attitudes of young individuals and how bright and talented they are, but just with a little bit of direction, how far they've come. And it's been brilliant. The type of questions that they ask us, from how much do you earn to do you really enjoy your job? You know, what do you do? What do you do on a day-to-day basis? Like, the questions are amazing. But recently we've been to a careers fair, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that the members of the Attract team that went really enjoyed it. They got a lot out of it, as well as, spending time sharing their stories with the next future generations, encouraging them to come. So, yeah.
Brilliant. And we've done loads of other things like work experiences. We've also done workshops. And one that I particularly though I'm not going to take credit for this one, is the workplace safaris, Sarah, that your team
yes.
did.
Oh yeah, so before I headed up the retained work stream,
Yeah.
I looked after Attract, and again, this is a complete joint effort, but we ran a workplace safari for a couple of schools, but the first one we did was for Matthew Moss High School. Oh, it was so great, and it was just, and you can get the students in, they can see just such a wide range of people as well from around the organisation. And we have so many volunteers just to speak up and just to give that insight into 5 minutes even, what does your job entail? And it's like a panel like this, and the students could come in and ask any questions. Now some of the questions are a bit off the wall.
Yeah.
Surprise. Your favourite film was a bit of a surprise, but there was loads of good stuff as well about what do you actually do in your job, because for me the most important takeaway was just the possibility that was within reach for the students. It's not some hard to obtain secret industry. No, I wanted those students to come in and say, this is within touching distance.
Yeah.
And we got loads of good feedback. So and it was a big thank you to everyone involved.
Brilliant. I think they're my key highlights, I would say.
Thanks, Lynn. And I love all of the work that we're doing with the schools and colleges. It's a personal one for me. I've done that similar in other organisations and it's really worked well. So I'm so pleased that we're doing that. It's really important that we get in and try and influence children and girls at a young age. To break down any preconceived ideas about this is a man's world and all the rest of it. So the fact that we're doing that is fantastic, and it's definitely something I'm super proud of. So Sarah, handing over to you now. What have you learnt?
Okay, well, I've learnt that it takes a lot of effort, and I mean this in a good way and a bad way, because it's not enough to have good intentions and to say as an organisation, oh, we want to fix that problem and we'll put a token amount of effort into it. Yeah. The more we've learned, the more we've realised it's going to take a consistent programme of activities. And as we know, we've restructured and we've learnt some lessons ourselves on how to structure things. It takes a lot of organisation. And we're asking for people as well to give on top of their day job sometimes. Yeah. For us who are in the thick of it, this is part of our role. But for other people, we're trying to win over hearts and minds and support them as they give more. And we can't just stop at some time and say, you know what, we won't bother, because we've got so far to travel as an industry to really turn things around. Yeah. So what has been really great is the times when we've just kept delivering something every time. Not talking about it, delivering something. And it doesn't even have to be. Some of our most successful initiatives have been what we've done creatively. We've not needed a massive budget.
No.
We like massive budgets, but we've not been able to. At the end of the day, that's not what we've needed to make some change.
No, not at all.
Changing the language, going into colleges, these are all things that we can do. We just need to consistently do them.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that has been, and you can get a bit disheartened and think, well, when's it going to change? When is this dial moving? We've done so much. Has it moved as much as we'd like it to? No, but as it moved, yes, and we're just gonna keep pushing.
Yeah. And I think I'll jump in on that point about the move and the dial, Sarah. It's absolutely right. And that for me is one of the areas that I find most frustrating, is moving that dial. And it is so difficult. But what I will say is all of the stuff that we've been doing over the last 3 years has been so important to build strong foundations. Yeah. And we always knew it was going to be difficult to shift the needle. And you can't just do it like that, unfortunately. But everything that we've done has paved the way for us to build on that and help us to move that needle further and further. And, we're getting involved in more stuff externally now, which is fantastic as well. as you know, we've joined the Ofcom
Yes.
pledge,
Yeah.
Women in Tech, getting
great.
more women into technology roles and leadership roles, which is fantastic. And that will help us be part of the overall movement for the industry as well. And as you know, we're stronger in numbers.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so little Zen by itself
Exactly.
can't change the world. But, you know, if we all join together our forces in,
Yeah.
you know, our industry, then we can all make a difference. So I just felt like I wanted to jump in on that, Sarah.
No, it's absolutely perfect, because I think the work that we do with other networks as well is key.
Yes,
And so
absolutely.
I think you mentioned before about the allies that we've got with Men at Zen.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Also, the work that we do with the Reach Network, the Pause for Thought Network, that brings
Yeah.
so much value to our women at Zen, and the menopause policy that
Does.
we've introduced in the last few years. It's absolutely a collaboration between Pause for Thought and
Yeah.
HR, you know, and the benefits.
Yeah.
So I think that is going to continue to be more and more
Yeah.
important in terms of joining forces.
Yeah, definitely. And what about your highlights then?
Oh, well, there's definitely, so if we talk about policies, actually, so we've improved our becoming a parent policy, or our menopause policy. We had some feedback from people at Zen about what they think about when they're considering having a family. Some people don't want a family. Of course, we want to support everyone, and some women do want to have a family. So we did interviews with them. We did insights for managers. We didn't try and prescribe something. We tried to. We've created a toolkit that allows managers to consider all of the potential things, but hearing it from people's different perspectives.
Yeah, it is.
I think that's a big difference as well, as enhancing the actual pay for maternity, which is a nice thing to do, of course. We've had on the flip side of that, we've introduced a pregnancy loss policy as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which is obviously very important to people, and certainly that was in collaboration with. I keep using that word collaboration. We probably, if somebody's thinking of at the moment, I've said it quite a few times, but that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
So they're just two of the ones I can think of.
And on the policies front, I think what's fantastic is we now run all of our policies across all of the networks, don't we, Sarah?
Absolutely. There's not one. I think even the business expense policy gets. No, we're practicing what we think. No, we're going to make you read it. But the Respect at Work was a massive one.
Yes.
So Respect at Work, we went to each network and we said, can you give us some real life examples that will bring this policy to life?
Brilliant.
And then we go in and we're trying to do it. We're working with managers to literally talk through scenarios, and women in tech were part of that.
Yeah. It's fantastic. So, any more highlights?
I'm just casting
You
down
don't
my
wanna-
notes here. Sorry, bear with me. This goes back to recruitment as well and attraction, if that's okay, because it's something that the Removing Barriers team were very keen on, and it was around encouraging more women to apply for technical roles by explaining the full role in terms that might sound more achievable and doable, like the teamwork. I think I mentioned it earlier. We taught that's one is the language that you use on the job spec, and the second is how do we promote internal opportunities to our women? What can we do? I tell you what, instead of just firing out the job spec, we can spend time to write an email to say, have you ever considered an opportunity, whatever it might be, but then taking time to break it down and making yourself available to have those conversations with men and women. So this is not, you can't apply if you're a man. This was to get over that little hurdle that some people were experiencing when they thought, that role over there, I'm not sure if it's for me. But these are the progression roles, some of them, so we've now got women in those roles. I think like systems analyst is a good idea, can take off into real technical careers in the platforms team, who wouldn't have applied necessarily if they hadn't seen the breakdown of what was actually involved and just put off at that top level.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's another example of a small change and representation during interviews as well. We could get better at it, but it's something that they very much within the technology division are very conscious of, and try to make sure that in their interviews they have representation from both genders in those interviews, so the candidates can see someone who looks like them.
Absolutely.
And I really saw the improvement actually when we started to do those road shows about the roles in the different teams, in particular in the tech teams. And in terms of, I guess, the increased enthusiasm from women wanting to understand a bit more about them. So I think that for all that felt like a small change, it made a huge difference. And it's all about that, again, that perception that and we know all the science about how women look at things in one way and men look at things in a different way. But breaking it down absolutely helps women understand that they can do it. It's not as difficult as what they might have previously perceived it was, and the opportunities there for the taking if they wanted to go for it. So it's been a huge success, that, Sarah.
Yeah, really, yeah.
I think building on Sarah's point there, I think what we'll take into this year as Attract is you're doing some wonderful work internally at Zen, but then how do we get our recruitment agencies, how do we put more pressure on our agencies to make sure that they're providing a diverse number of applicants for each role as well? So, they need to take some responsibility for sharing candidates that are female, etc.
Yeah, we do take care to partner up with recruitment agencies who have and D&I high on the agenda. I don't know. We want some who are meaningfully doing it.
Absolutely.
So we do partner with them. However, we do find that agencies struggle just like we struggle. So they've got to keep going and keep trying, and we've got to keep asking for it. We've got to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great point, that, though. You're right, Amanda. We can do all the great stuff internally, but we also need anybody who's in partnership with us to also have that same sort of value set that we have around diversity, inclusion, equity, and all the rest of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's one of the reasons we panic if somebody uses an agency that we don't know about. I want to see the D&I stats first.
That and the fees, of course. Was that all of your highlights?
That's okay, yeah. Brilliant. I could probably talk for longer, but I think I've talked enough,
That's absolutely fine. I'm keen that we move on now to look at what we've got coming up.
Oh, yes.
So we can get everybody excited about what's in store for the next year plus. So, Amanda, can we start with you?
We can, yes. Obviously, we put in place a lot of foundations, I would say. And to Sarah's earlier points, it's now about consistency. I think we've kind of dabbled on social media. We've kind of, touched on how can the website be better and represent the workforce better. I think this year is about getting our positioning correct, being consistent. So if you don't follow us on social media, follow us. There'll be a lot of activity going on. We'll all be contributing. So you'll be seeing posts sort of every month from us and the activities that we're doing. So that'll be really exciting. I think, last year when we did International Women's Day, we saw some great engagements. So it was kind of triple, quadruple our standard engagement in posts. So again, this year we want to absolutely smash that. So there'll be a lot of content around that. There's going to be quite a lot of work with our partner channel division. So what we'd like to do is spend more time with females within our partner businesses. So we've got about 500 partners. They've got quite a large female workforce. How do we widen our own network and come together and collaborate more? So share some of our learnings. We don't know everything, but through that collaboration and the things that they're doing within their own organisations, then hopefully we'll see more happen there.
I'm particularly excited about that, Amanda, because I met, obviously, at the partner conference. I met up with some of the female CEOs there, and it was fantastic. We had a great conversation about what can we do. Again, it comes back to what I was saying before about that collaboration with others in our industry, helping to move the dial, and we can do that with our partner network now. So very excited that we're setting up that group this year.
No, it's going to be great, and I think it'll become stronger and stronger. There's things that I'm learning that actually when we put on conferences and events, how do we make them more friendly, open to more diverse attendees as well? So some individuals are put off by the type of conferences we hold. So we're learning every day. We're making changes. So it's going to be an exciting year. So yeah, quite a busy year coming up.
Yeah.
Now building on those foundations, making sure that we are championing all of the great work that everybody's doing.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Amanda. And I think before I jump on, you know, I mentioned the Ofcom pledge before. Part of that is us having a bit more of a focus on the stats and measuring ourselves. Hence the restructure that we had in our WIT group this just last October, so that we've got that accountability across the different streams, and that we can really look and see, measure ourselves and make sure that we are actually making a difference. And the only reason I say that is because I think there's a different emphasis for us all now in our groups about, you know, are we actually doing the right activities to make the difference? So I just wanted to interject that there. Lynn?
Yeah, we've got quite ambitious plans when it comes to developing, really building on
No
what
surprises.
we like to keep our team really busy, don't we? You know, keep getting the improvements in. I always see it as very small improvements that then collectively gives us that difference that we're talking about. But building on what you just said there, Aisha, it is very much about looking at what is it that we really need to address, you know, what the skills that we need to really, really work into to get that shift that we're looking at, whether it's a shift percentage within women in Zen, whether it's from a leadership point of view or a technical point of view. And Amanda and I are working really closely by looking at the schools and the colleges again, trying to inspire young women and girls to pursue a career in IT. So there's going to be lots more collaboration on that front. We're also looking at T-level placements. We're going to start another mentoring cohort in September onwards as well. So there's a lot going on there. And we're going to actually going to engage with students younger than where we have been as well, to see if we can get into the age where they're really choosing those careers and being able to inspire them at that point as well. We've got a mission, haven't we, Amanda?
We do indeed.
To do that.
And is it right that we're also going to collaborate with some unis?
We are, yes, yeah. We've looked at the league tables in terms of the D&I agendas and seen the high performing universities. There's some, of course, local universities that we want to engage with as well. So for us this year, it's not necessarily about a graduate scheme, but it's very much about attracting graduates into Zen. So we're quite excited about that. We've not done much activity around that yet. So watch this space.
Yeah, definitely. And it's an opportunity, I think, for us to give back as well. So I'm not just thinking about, and you know, building our talent pipeline of the future is important, of course. And, you know, lots of the work that we're doing will help with that. But also we can go in to these organisations and schools, etc., and we can help share knowledge and experience and help shape curriculum and things like that to help these children and young adults progress in a career, whether that's in Zen or anywhere else. And for me, that's important. It's not just about, it's all about Zen. It's about giving back as well.
Yeah, we've just recently started a very fresh initiative around work experience for teachers.
Yes. This is brilliant. I love this.
So we've had finance teachers and IT teachers come in over the last couple of months. Ironically, the two IT teachers were female.
Brilliant.
Which is absolutely fantastic.
Brilliant. Love that.
For that agenda. It's the first time we've ever done anything like this, but we thought, you know, instead of getting right in front of all the students all the time, if we can get into the teachers and they're inspired and they change their curriculum, you know, they're able to share what we're trying to do as well, then of course they can reach more students on the back of that. So we're quite excited about that. That's its own tip of the iceberg at the moment. So that's kind of the plans going forward. Another one is really developing those development programs so that we can, you know, so for people that really want to advance in technical roles, that's one area that we're looking at. But also for those that want to progress their leadership journeys as well. So we've got some existing leadership programs that have been quite successful in Zen, but we're looking to see if we can really tailor that to really account for those topics that women tend to have areas that they face challenges with. So Amanda, you talked about imposter syndrome, and we know that some women do face challenges around that, more so than men sometimes, not all the time, don't want to stereotype. So we are going to be talking about some of those topics like personal brand, how to develop the confidence levels. We want to continue on with the public speaking program.
Yeah.
We've only run one pilot of that, and we've seen some really surprising results on that, of which 50% of the women on the program have been promoted. So we want to, the stats that we're talking about, build on that. But it's not always about shifting a dial. It's amazing when you see these women come back in and they're empowered and they're really excited about their own future and where they want to move into, which is great. And the other big focus really is about developing those sessions that are women-focused topics, like the menopause, maternity, and having those calendar events so that anyone in the business can really understand about these women topics. So managers or peers can really get the best out of the women around them on the back of that. And of course, promoting careers and roles, which is what we've talked about earlier on as well. So lots for us to get our teeth stuck into, but exciting topics to talk about.
Great. Thanks, Lynn. Sarah,
There's
over
quite
to
a
you.
lot to follow. I'll do my best.
I always just said so much. That's the problem.
It's okay. I think I can equal it.
I'm sure you can.
So heading up the retain team at the moment. So the strapline for our team and what we're really thinking about is what can we do to make Zen such a great workplace that women don't even want to leave? So that is how we're coming at it, and that's what we're thinking. So we are investigating. We've got at our hands, thankfully, quite a lot of rich data. So we've got the Great Place to Work feedback, which we have analysed by gender. So that's giving us some great insights. We've got the when people leave Zen, as we know, we do a leaver analysis and we do a reflections on your time at Zen meeting.
Yeah.
And that's a really useful source of information. So we've got teams looking at that. Gender pay gap would fall into ours. We do have one, unfortunately. What is causing it, though? Let's not just assume that we know. So let's really get into the detail. That falls into my team. On a more broader level, we've got removing barriers is something that we've talked about. What are the barriers to success particularly from our group? Of course, we're looking at it from the slant of gender. So that would prevent, might be barriers to women in the workplace. And I'm not sure what the tool will look like. I'm thinking it might be a website, maybe. It might be a page on our SharePoint site where we identify by your life cycle or your career journey what you potentially either real or perceived barriers might be, and then what are we going to put into place? Either does it exist, or at the moment can we direct people to it, or do we need to come up with something, get creative? So at each stage then by life cycle and by career point. So that is well underway now. I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
But what I do want to make sure that we do, and as a team we want to do this, is remind people as well about the joy of experience. So it's not, there are barriers, they do exist. They exist for men and women. But oh my goodness, when you get to another stage in your life or another stage in your career, there's so much reward there. So we want to celebrate that as well. So we'll be probably feeding in with your team so that it's not all doom and gloom. But there are places you can go to keep moving forward. So
really like that. I think that'll be really interesting to see that when you get. Hopefully, you have a really lovely visual for us all to see. Use Charlotte to help.
I won't be in charge of the visuals unless you like 4 bullets on a page. You're right. Yeah, I know what I'm good at and what I need to help with. Yeah. And then the last thing I will mention, if that's okay, and that is around another policy, and that's a fertility policy. So Laura and my team's already written that policy. But again, it's part of this suite of support. It's not just women who benefit from these, but sometimes there's a disproportionate amount of, compared to the men who might benefit. It is for all. But it's something that we've listened to when people have said, can we have it? No, now women have said, can we have it? Yes, you can. Why wouldn't we offer that support? So that was within the next few weeks as well.
Oh, that's exciting. That's good. Well, that's fantastic. I mean, there's so much stuff there that we've got coming up. That's super exciting. I'm dead excited to get involved in all of that and to see it all come into fruition, which is brilliant. And at this point, I want to give first of all, a huge thanks to you guys and Nicola, who's not here, for all of your support and your help on the steering group. Because actually, without you helping to drive this forward, none of this would have happened. I certainly couldn't have done it without you, and also without the wider WIT group as well. So again, huge thanks from me to the wider WIT group for all of the support and effort that they've put into this. We've made a huge difference over the last 3 years, and I'm super excited for the continuing difference that we're going to make over the coming years. And then all that leaves me to say now is Happy International Women's Day, everybody.
Happy International Women's Day.